Good morning and welcome to A Closer Look. I'm your host, Linda Fontaine. Today my guest is Bertina Du, Executive Director of Kingsport Ballet. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure. So this isn't your first rodeo here. You've been on the show before. We've talked about all kinds of neat things, and I just love Kingsport Ballet. Tell me a little bit about the history of Kingsport Ballet.
Okay, so we've been in our community for over 30 years. I've been with Kingsport Ballet for just around 20 years.
Just 20
so
years.
A little over, so about really 2/3 of its life. So we provide great ballet, dance, and general education in the community, and adult fitness classes, and full-length performances, ballet productions, classical, true full-length classical ballets, like, of course, a yearly Nutcracker, and then spring ballets like Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, Giselle, all the big classics. And then we do a couple more performances in May. We have a big summer intensive in June where we bring in guest artists from all over the world, really.
Wow.
So
you guys stay pretty darn busy.
Very busy.
Yes.
And this is actually toward the end of our fiscal year, or so, the end of our season, essentially, which is kind of where we are now. 2/3 of our activities happen at this time. So everything,
Isn't that the way, though? It's like with school. Everything happens in
At
May,
one time,
and
right.
everything happens at one time.
Yes,
Gonna
May
wrap
and December. The big months.
Now, your big thing coming up is Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So Sleeping Beauty, of course, is just a great classic in the world of ballet. And what's very special about Sleeping Beauty is that even for those who are not necessarily ballet goers or ballet lovers or people who know a lot about ballet, Sleeping Beauty, of course, resonates. It has this very familiar tone, of course, because of the whole Disney background, and most of us, saw the Disney movie as children, and that also helps to kind of connect people to the ballet, because the music by Peter Tchaikovsky, even if you've never been to a ballet, of course you will recognize the music from, there's some very, very recognizable segments of the music, not just from the Disney movie, of course, but just from Tchaikovsky's
How do you guys decide what you're gonna do for your performance that year?
Well, that's a good question, because we have to plan that ahead, usually at least a year in advance, because I write yearly grants to the Tennessee Arts Commission. They of course support Kingsport Ballet for general operations, and usually I'm writing that grant starting somewhere in December for the following season, which begins in July.
Okay.
Talking about what we're going to do from that next year, July to June.
So like a year and a half.
About a year and a half in advance, yeah. So we look, and so we typically do a big ballet, the same major ballet 2 years in a row, just because it is a very expensive endeavor, and of course it takes a lot. Especially if it's a new ballet, of course, creating costumes and sets and all of that is a huge endeavor. But now Sleeping Beauty, we have several big ballets in our repertoire. Sleeping Beauty is one of them. Giselle is another. Swan Lake is another. And that means that we have either made, commissioned, collected the costumes through the years. And so we just kind of revamp them, refit them to the season's, the current season's students and professionals.
Yeah, well, you guys have to be pretty creative. I mean, I know you guys are a creative, artistic type that are doing dance anyway, but in more ways than one, because of all the costumes, and I know you've done an amazing job with costumes, my word. But you guys really have to make the money stretch and make it also a very quality presentation. And you guys do a great job.
We're very scrappy, very, very scrappy.
It doesn't look it, but that's a true art.
Well, when Valeria first came, and we were starting a lot of these things from scratch, because from our previous director, we didn't translate everything over to Valeria.
Now, who's Valeria, for those who
Valeria Sinyavskaya, she's our artistic director.
Right.
And so we hired her in 2002, and since she's been here, especially in the first couple of years when she was here, we would sit down and set aside 3 hours. We would watch the video of whichever best production, usually the Kirov or Bolshoi, we would sit down, and I would sit down with a sketch pad, and she would tell me what costumes, which segments we would be doing, and how we could, come up with those. How can you make those costumes look like that for, a little bit of money?
So creative.
So, so basically this is sort of how we through the years, built this collection of a lot of costumes. And of course, some of them we have, excuse me, we commissioned from Russia through her connections, as well as some of our backdrops. We had a whole set of costumes made for us. But that was, of course, already 16, 17 years ago. So they have seen a lot of use.
a lot of recycling.
A lot of use.
Repurposing.
Yes.
I love it. So when is Sleeping Beauty, when is the show being performed?
So the show is April 11th through 14th at Eastman in the Toya Fareed Auditorium.
Oh, it's a great auditorium.
It's a great auditorium, great stage, nice and big, and the Eastman folks do a great technical job there for us. So it's been wonderful performing there. So we have a lot of guest artists coming in, really wonderful guest artists.
Do tell.
So we have like 7 guests performing.
Where are they coming from?
Professionals, different places.
Okay.
Alabama Ballet, Columbia Classical Ballet. The 2 principals are principals with Alabama Ballet. And then some other independent. There are actually 2 of the soloist young men are Armenian. You may remember me talking about, we brought them in last year. They are Rotary exchange students. They're ballet dancers in Armenia, but yes, so they're here learning.
That's amazing.
Breakdance, so.
That's fantastic. So how many performances are there going to be?
So there are going to be 3 public performances and 1 school performance. The school performance is on the 11th in the morning. That's Thursday at 10 a.m. and that's free of charge for school children. Oh, great. And homeschooled children. And then the public performances are Friday and Saturday night at 7 p.m. and then Sunday afternoon at 2:30.
So the 12th, 13th, and 14th are open to the public. The 11th is for the school children.
Yes.
And for anybody who wants tickets, they can just call 423-378-3967. Can they get them online?
Yes, that's really the easiest way. You can get them either through a link from our Facebook page. It says buy tickets or whatever, and you can just click on that, or you can go straight to our website and you'll see the banner for Sleeping Beauty. You just click, 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 and you can print them at home or save them to your phone, to your mobile phone, or whatever, very easy ways to do it.
So kingsportballet.org.
Correct.
And that's the easiest way to get tickets.
That's the easiest way to get tickets.
To get tickets to Sleeping Beauty. This year's extravaganza.
It's a beautiful ballet. Beautiful.
They all are. I mean, to me, ballet.
Yes, but I mean, for instance, if we were doing Giselle, I would say it's a beautiful ballet, but it's a tragic ballet. You'll cry. It's beautiful, and it's not so much geared toward children, whereas Sleeping Beauty is very child-friendly because, of course,
it's a Disney thing.
Fairies and and Caraboss, the evil sorceress. And I mean, there's just a lot of great drama.
Fun drama.
Good fun stuff for kids.
Good fun
Boys
drama.
and girls, yeah.
Well, I love it. How many people are in this production that it takes to put on Sleeping Beauty?
We probably have, gosh, that's a really good question. Probably 48, 55, something like that.
Wow, that's cool. So do the students have to try out for the different parts to be?
Yes, they audition. Of course, if you're in our school, the directors are used to seeing you and they know what you can do. They kind of know
who would be best for what part.
Of course, yes. Yeah. And so you had asked me earlier, like, how do we decide what ballet to do? Yeah. So there are certain ballets, of course, that, use more core, more ensemble work. Yes. Others use more solo roles. And so certain years we have, more advanced students, more intermediate students, or a wider range of, students that would fit the ensemble work, or very advanced students who could fit more of the soloist roles, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a perfect ballet for when you have, a few great soloists and you can...
See, there's a lot more to this than what people think about, because I never even thought about, they got to think, how many of the advanced students do we have? which would be better for what kind of ballet, how many people are in this ensemble and that ensemble that we can fit in here and here in those roles?
Well, one huge component of that is that it costs quite a bit of money to hire professionals, right? So this is an expensive ballet to stage because we're bringing in, we have 7 professional guest artists.
And I'm sure that that's a pretty penny.
And they're here for a week, so.
And you got to put them up and everything?
Yes. And yeah, that's.
So you guys pay for all that, or
well,
do you get like host homes?
We actually we've had hotel sponsors before, and just recently the Hampton Inn has helped us out with some of, because we've been bringing in guest teachers all year long. We're on like number 8 or 9 now, guest teachers to help with everything, and Hampton Inn has just recently been very helpful with that. And of course, in-kind sort of donations, we always welcome. But of course, having 7 people in here at the same time for a week in April is going to be quite the challenge. So if you know of any hotels out there that are willing to give some complimentary rooms, think of us. So
yes, and they would have some very interesting people staying at their place. So that that would be great.
Very talented people.
And we would talk about them on the air and give them attention if they would host.
Yes.
Okay, so let's leave it there. We'll come back, talk some more about Sleeping Beauty in just a minute after a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.